This time out on the Rusty Pilot, we're going to talk through all the steps that would be involved to make an airplane purchase decision, in the sense that you were not going to rent aircraft, but that you were actually going to buy an aircraft and do all your training on your own. I'm stealing a little something from mockcheckrod.com. I thought Scott Kinney did a good job on this, and this is exactly all the steps that I would have went through. So we're just going to kind of walk through what he's got, which is, if you're a zero-time student pilot, you want to buy an airplane and save money. Now, I'm going to twist what he's doing because he's assuming that you're anywhere from 20 to 80 years old. I'm just going to assume that you are an older gentleman and that you've got $100,000 or $200,000 to buy an airplane. So, so first thing you're trying to do is it really trying to save money to buy an airplane. If so, can you afford to purchase it with cash? If you can't afford to purchase this thing with cash, you could probably stop right there and go back to renting. The other choice you'll have is fractional ownership. We'll kind of cover that as we move along here. But he would come down and start talking through financing. We'll cover it in depth here at the end, but financing, if you can't afford to pay cash or get four guys together with $25,000 a piece, I would not go get a loan to try to finance any of this, because I just don't think planes aren't real liquid. It might be hard to get your money back out if something were to happen. So, can you afford the ongoing planned and unplanned expenses? So the planned expenses like a hangar and insurance, and then there's the unplanned, like, the gear motor going out on the landing gear, or having to redo some piece of equipment. There are a lot of $10,000 hickeys. Again, if you can't handle the $100,000 to buy the plane, you certainly aren't going to handle the first $10,000 bill. And if you had to finance it to get there, you're going to go right back to the banks. Don't do that. Are you willing to lose some or all of your investment? What's your tolerance of risk? If you're out here flying, more than likely you're willing to take on some risk. And then the real first step in getting an airplane for training is, can you pass a medical exam? That's my first stop. I would tell you to stop now and go see if you can't get a third-class medical. If you can't get a third-class medical, I think when I got back into flying in my 50s, it took a year to get that third-class medical. And I'm in good health. So I also got CPAP machines. If you got a CPAP machine or diabetes, you're going to run into some problems there, but that's a separate video. Have you ever soloed and completed the written exam? I would tell you I probably would go rent an airplane long enough to get through the first solo just to see if it was something I like. You may find you got motion sickness. The smell of avgas makes you feel wheezy or queasy. So yes, most people drop out before the first solo. I'd hate for anybody to buy an airplane and get to that point. So let's roll to the next one here. Do you have a mechanic who has agreed to maintain the airplane? So medical, solo, and then where is the hangar at and where is the mechanic at? Because these are two key things that if you don't have them, I'd rather have all that stuff lined up before I got there. And most local airports have got a mechanic or two. Just go by and talk to them. They are typically older guys that love to talk about planes and will be more than willing to take you in. Hangar space, if you're in a major metropolitan area, like here in Dallas, my plane's out at Addison, there might be a 2 to 5 year wait for a hangar out there. This is where buying into a partnership that already has a plane and a hangar out at one of these larger places would be better. If you're in a smaller town, you can probably find something within an hour of you, but just know that hangar space is hard to come by anywhere around a metropolitan area. Is the plane suitable for a low-time pilot? God help us. I talked to a buddy of mine from high school the other day, and he had bought a Mooney to learn to fly. Yeah. And he also hadn't went and got the medical first, so he had a few things sort of check him, but don't go buy a Mooney to learn to fly. And that's quite an uphill battle. You're wanting a little Piper 140 or 180 or a Cessna 172 or 182. If you're a small guy and get into a 150, even better for you. Beechcraft, a Sundowner or a Sierra will work for you. There's less parts. I'd probably just go, pay the money to get a 172 for $100,000 in the best condition with the most avionics you could, because it's also the easiest one to sell. At the end of 2 years and a couple hundred hours, you're going to be tired of going 100 knots and you want to go 150 or more. That's where I'd look at buying something else. Maybe an SR-20 might be a good first plane that would last you 5 years. Which gets us to, does the airplane fit my mission for the next 200 plus hours in 2 years? If you only got $100,000, getting 2 or 3 people in on SR-20 would be the way to go there. That would cover more than that. If not, a 172 is it, and you'll sell out at some point. When you do that, there will be transition costs. You've paid taxes on $100,000. You're going to sell it. You need to recoup your taxes and a lot of money that you got in there on the engine or anything else you've updated. You can probably do it. It'll probably sell. Just know there's some life tax to be paid there through escrow fees, broker's fees, travel cost. I'd say acquiring my first aircraft cost me a good $5,000, $7,000. Just buyer beware there. Will this airplane be cheaper than a comparable rental after calculating in the variables? It's probably going to be close to the same if you don't fly a whole bunch. But here's my experience. You're not going to be able to get rental aircraft. You're certainly not going to be able to get rental aircraft if you're in your older years and have a lot of control of your time and want to take that plane for 4 days to a week. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to be able to rent one and get away with that. So buying a 172 is better than renting an SR-22 in the sense that at least it's yours and you got control of it. Has my instructor agreed to teach in the airplane? There's a lot of old men at these airports that are flying jets that love to instruct. You're looking for them. If you go to a flight school, you're going to have a 20 to 30-year-old kid that's grinding to get to ATP, and you're liable to go through 2 or 3 instructors. And let's just say the level of dedication in there with some older person that is in it for the love of the game. So if you got here, you're proceeding to buy a aircraft, but let's go back and look at the rest of this young man's articles. I thought he did a real good job on it, and I'll leave it in the link below. He figured that you would have 200 hours worth of rental to get an instrument rating and a private pilot's license at $46,000. And that buying that same plane, you would end up spending about $31,000, but you would own the asset. This is where I think Jimmy from Jimmy's World's right. I think I could buy a plane, own the asset, fly it, and still come out better. He talks about financing right here, and yes, that 8.75% is really right. If you can get to some retirement money or something like that, you could do it. But quite honestly, if you can't afford to pay for it out of pocket, you can't afford it. You need to find 4 friends with $25,000 a piece. It's going to work out for you in every way much better. And no, you're not going to have scheduling conflicts. 4 of you can't fly the plane three total months out of the year. In other words, there's a lot of time for you there. Airplanes break a lot. I say that is very true, and I have fixed a whole lot of stuff on these 100-year-old airplanes. Engine, the last engine we bought, we got in the airplane for probably 60 grand. Heck, we bought that thing for 60 grand. We probably had another 10 in getting an airplane. $70,000 to replace an engine on a V-tail Bonanza in IO5. We have overhauled the gear, and what else is up there? Cylinder replacements, the GPS. I mean, we got a $120,000 panel update going on. That's way beyond the scope of what regular people are going to do. But there's 2 to 4 of us in the airplane. Let's go on down through his article a little bit more. Man, I've never ever been to any mechanic that I didn't feel ripped off when I left there. The truth is, they're in that much demand, and there's so few of them that you're going to pay their price, and that's just part of aviation life tax. Enjoy. Want to make money off of it when you sell it? You will. You'll make money off of it because they're not making it planes. Cirrus is not making SR-20s fast enough, or Diamond, either one, to replace the 50 or 60-year-old aging fleet of Cessnas out there that are in that price range. So yeah, you buy a 50-year-old airplane for $100,000 and fly it, you're going to get your money right back out of it. And I do think it'll sell currently. And if you're watching this thing 2 years later and the economy's slow, God help you, I don't know. Medical, parking, insurability. Well, your low time, you need something like a 172 because they'll give you insurance on. If you bought a V-tail Bonanza, or like the other guy bought a Mooney, it might not happen. When can student ownership be ideal? For us older guys, it's going to be ideal, period. We got control of our time. We're ready to go someplace. We don't want to have to fight with 50 people renting it and the plane flying, 8 hours a day when the weather's clear. Finding an airplane's going to work for you. You're probably already on a $100,000 SUV. What's the difference in owning a $100,000 plane? Other than your SUV is probably financed, but you get the idea here. A low-time student, does ownership make sense? If you've got the cash to swing it, I think it's at least a break-even activity. And as you get into your older years and you're wanting to get out and adventure and make the most of that last quarter of life, especially the last quarter of life where you still got enough health to go, it is. If I was a 20-year-old, this would probably not make sense, or even a 30-year-old where I had to finance this dream. Only way it works is if you've got cash on hand, in my opinion. Now, there's a couple of other videos on the channel around this topic where I talk through buying a 172 off a trader plane and SR-22 off a trader plane, that I go through everything you would need to look at in a buy. We'll cover some more of that out next time. Leave some comments below. I'm sure this will spark a lot of talk in one way or another on whether you would buy one or not, because everybody that's bought one or thought about buying one, and I've been part of 6 buys, is going to feel differently about it.